children, in this video we are going to discuss about the 11th chapter of class 6 science textbook, that is light, shadows and reflection. In this chapter we are going to study about the light and what is the relation of light with some objects, different types of objects, then about reflections, mirrors and also pinhole camera. So let's start our chapter. First, before going into the chapter, the first thing you should know is the relation of light and object. We know that whatever we see is only because of the light. If there is no light, if light is absent from anywhere, we will not be able to see. Try to enter in a completely dark room. Will you be able to see anything there? There may be kept hundreds of things. There may be table, books, desk, but if it is completely dark, no light is there, you cannot see anything. So you should know that to see anything, first and foremost requirement is the presence of light. Now, what is the relation of light and different objects? Luminous objects. Those objects which give out or emit light of their own. There are some objects which give out their own light or they emit light. Such type of objects are called luminous objects. For example, candle. When we burn a candle, it gives its own light. Candle, tube light, torch, sun, stars. These are some of the examples of luminous objects. While non-luminous objects are those objects which do not have their own light. They do not give out any light or emit any light of their own. For example, this marker, human body, table, wood, floor, they do not emit any light. Mirrors, diamonds, glass bowls, glasses, they also are non-luminous objects. But we can see that they shine, right? The shining is due to reflection of light. Reflection of light we will see in the later part of the chapter. But just remember that in normal situation they don't give out light. The sunlight or the light from the tube can be seen, which makes it shine. But they don't have their own light. If they had their own light, we would be able to see them in the dark also. But in the dark room, you cannot see the table, you cannot see the floor. Only when the presence of light is there, tube light is switched on or sunlight is there, then only we can see these objects. So, they are non-luminous objects. Okay? Next topic. The relation of light and object can be seen in different way also. Where objects can be divided into three groups. That is opaque, translucent and transparent. These three things we have studied in our previous chapter also. In earlier chapter we have already discussed this, but let's see them once more. Opaque. Do not allow light to pass through. Here you see, do not allow light to pass through them. That means opaque objects are those objects which do not let any light to pass through them. They completely block all the light that falls on them. You can take an example of our own body. If light is coming from this side, we are standing here, will the light be able to pass through us and will fall on this wall or on this board? No. The light will fall on this side where nothing is there to obstruct its path or to stop it. But as I am standing here, light coming from this direction will not be able to pass through me. That is why I am an opaque object and you will not be able to see what is behind me. So opaque objects do not let you see what is behind them and they do not pass the light through them completely. They don't allow any light to pass through them. Some examples like stone, book, wood, our body, then wall, door. There are many examples. Next is translucent. Translucent objects allow light to pass through them, but partially. They don't let the light to pass through them completely. Some of the light rays will be allowed to pass through them and some will be blocked. So they only allow some light, or partially they allow light to pass through them. They don't allow all the light rays to pass through them. For example, tracing paper. Tracing paper, fogged window, these are some examples. Or tracing paper, or you can understand an oily patch on a paper. You take a paper, put few drops of oil and spread it, and after some time you just try to observe it like this. You will see light, but you will not be able to see clearly pass through it. Or another example is the fogged window. When there is very foggy outside, you will see the window becomes foggy. It gets fogged up. Then you will be able to see a little through it, but not completely or clearly through it. Another example is muddy water or a little dirty water. Little dirty water, you will be able to see a little but not clearly. So these are some examples of translucent objects or translucent. The translucent objects pass light through them but very little. Here, opaque objects, as they do not allow any light to pass through them, they form dark, clear shadows. You will see dark, black, clear shadows. But translucents allow only partially light to pass through them. So we can see a faint or hazy shadow. It will not be very clear. While transparent objects are those objects which allow light to pass through them completely. They do not block any light rays. They completely let the light rays to pass through them. For example, glass panels or glass which we have on our window, glass table, glass slabs, glass tumbler, air around us, we can easily see through them. Air is present but we can see through it. So air can be considered as transparent. Clear water, clean water, through it also we can easily see. That is also an example of transparent object. Now, transparent object, as they do not obstruct any light, as they do not stop any light, they let all the light rays to pass through them. They don't form any shadow. Here, I hope you have understood what is the relation between the object's property, whether it is opaque, translucent or transparent, and light and shadow. If the object do not allow the light to pass through them, there will be no light behind it. Then it is forming a shadow. While object allow all the light to pass through it, it is already lit because of the presence of light, so no shadow will be formed. Okay, now let's move on to the next topic, that is what are shadows. Here we will discuss what are shadows and different properties of shadows also. Shadows are formed when an opaque object, here you pay attention, it is mentioned opaque object come across the path of light. If light ray is passing in this direction and an opaque object come in its path, then a shadow is formed. For example, if we have a candle lit here, let's say it is a candle and we have kept one box here. The light rays are coming and falling on this box. This box is made up of cardboard, and we know cardboards are opaque. They do not let light to pass through them. Then what will happen? Here we will see a faint shadow of this cardboard. Okay? Only because the light is unable to pass through, here there will be no light. Just behind the board there is no light because this light is unable to pass through it. So we will see its shadow on the ground. Then let's say this is made up of glass. This is made up of glass. If it is made up of glass, then what will happen? The light will directly pass through it and there will be no shadow. Did you understand? Another thing about the light is another thing about the shadow is shadows can be seen only on a screen. That means we need a screen behind to see the shadow. Here, how can I explain it to you? Just like what we have seen here right now. Just now, we have seen a candle lit and a box is placed here, made up of cardboard. Then, the light is falling on this cardboard. This ground acts as a screen and shadow can be seen here. Or if I'm standing here, light is coming from this way, you can see my shadow behind me. This board is acting as a screen or on the wall, or if I'll hold the cloth behind and one person is standing in front and light is coming on that cloth, the shadow will be formed. So all this wall, ground, this board, these serve as screen. So to form shadow, we need a screen behind, because air is around us, but can we see the shadow in the air? No, because air is not serving as a screen. The wall will serve as a screen, so we can see our shadow on the wall. Next is properties of shadow. What are the different properties of shadow? Let's see one by one. Shadow is always formed in the direction opposite to the source of light. You see, the direction of the shadow will always be opposite to the source of the light. What does it mean? Let's say light is coming from this direction, then the shadow will be formed behind me. If the light is coming from the front, shadow will be behind. If the light is coming from my left side, the shadow will form on my right side. So this is what it means. That means the source of the light and the direction of the shadow will be opposite to each other. Understood? Next is, shadows are always black regardless of the color of the object or the light. The color of the shadow will always be black. You see, you can have bulb of red, blue, green light. Any light can be there. And what are you wearing? Let's say you are wearing a red colored top or cloth, blue color, white, pink, any color you can wear. But you see, whenever shadow is formed, regardless of what color of clothes you are wearing or regardless of the color of light, the shadow which forms behind you will always be black in color. Next is the outline of the shadow is same as the outline of the object. Here, what does it mean? The outline of the object. Let's say this is one object I have and I will hold it here. Light is coming here. What is it? Its outline, this outer part. This shape, outer line is the outline, and the shadow will have the same outline. If I'm standing here, this will be my outline, and if light will fall on me, here this outline will be formed. But remember, this is not always reliable. Okay, sometimes the outline may differ. For example, have you ever tried to make various shapes with your hand, like a bird? And if you will see its shadow, if you will play with its shadow, you will see in the shadow it looks like various animals, like a bird or various animals like dog and all. Then these are just our hand and fingers, but with the help of this we can make the shadow of various animals. Can we say it is reliable? It is not reliable, but generally they give us the outline, but they are not always reliable. Okay, they are not always correct. Next is, shadow gives us some information about shape of the object. With the help of the shadow, we can guess what will be the shape. For example, if you have a ball, a round ball, you will light from one side, its shape will fall or shadow will fall on the screen Then if it is round, with respect to the direction of the light, the shape may be round, spherical, oval, but somehow you will get the idea that it is like this shape. Got it? Or you take a box. If you have a box, let's say I have this duster here. Here its shape is what we will say cuboid. It is a cuboid where this is longer and this is smaller. So if I'll switch on a torch light and put the light here, what will happen? The shadow will more or less will have this rectangular shape on the screen. So it gives us some information about what may be the shape of the object. It may be box, it may be rectangular, it may be circular. So some idea we can get. Shadow of an object will be of different size at different time. The shadow of the light will be of different size at different time. What does it mean? Let's say you are coming out of your home early in the morning. The sun is just rising. That way, this is the direction of the sun now. You will see the shape or you will see the size of your shadow behind you. Okay, it will be elongated. As the sun will rise up, you will see that your shadow is shrinking. It is getting smaller. When around 12 noon or about the midday time, the noon time, the sun will be just above your head. Then what will happen? The shadow you will see will be very small, smallest. Then as the sun will slowly go for setting, then you will see this side, as it should be always opposite from the direction of the sun or direction of the light, right? The shadow will again elongate. So at different point of time, the length or the size of the shadow may change. Got it? Let's see the next point. The closer the source of light to an object, the larger the shadow, and it will be smaller if the source of light is away from the object. Here you see or you read this line properly. The closer the light, larger the shadow. Then away the light, then smaller will be the shadow. Let me explain this with the help of an example. Let's say I have a torch light here. Okay, this is my torch light and it is giving out the light rays. Let's say I have a ball here. This is my screen. Fine. Now you see this ball. This is a ball and this is my torch and this is my screen. Let's say a wall or any screen. The light from the torch is falling on the ball. Now, as the torch and the ball are very near to each other and the screen is far away, what will happen? You will see that the shadow of the ball will be this big. This big shadow you will see. This will be the size of the shadow, bigger. While on the other hand, let's say again I have same torch I have, but the ball or the object is now far away from the source of light and it is nearer to the screen. Here you see again this is the range of my torch light of the torch. Then what will happen? This ball will give a shadow which will be about only this size. Now can you see the difference? Nearer the ball and the torch light, greater or larger will be the shadow. Farther away the torch light and the object, smaller will be the shadow. So this is what this sentence means. I hope that you have understood all the topics we have discussed in this video. In the next video, we will cover up the rest of the chapter. For now, thank you.